Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. It's March 8th, 2022. We're coming with you with Immigration Talk, episode 60 with my associate attorney, Anna Sergeeva. Anya, how are you doing?
I'm doing better than last week,
Yeah.
but still, we're trying to help. A lot of people got affected by war in Ukraine, and it's just devastating situation for.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. The start of the show is going to be about updating about what's going on with the Ukraine situation and what you can do, especially if you're from Ukraine and you're in the United States, regardless of status. And then we're going to talk about the top 5 mistakes students do on F-1 student visas for getting work authorization and working CPT, OPT. So we want to really break those mistakes down because it happens a lot. Going back to the first topic, Ukraine, we'll remind you again, and we'll mention it again, but if you look in the description, I'll have a link that goes into an updated Google Doc as to what's going on with the situation for people who want visas from Ukraine, where to stop by, where to go, all this kind of stuff, in particular, the issue of TPS. So let's start with that. So the Ukraine situation, unfortunately, is still out of control, but the US did announce what's called temporary protected status, TPS. Anya, can you explain what the status of that is and what that means for Ukrainians in the United States?
Yes, first thing first, I did a very detailed video in Russian on Ukrainian TPS. So I don't know when it's going to be published. We're waiting on the team to edit it, but you can look for it in videos on our YouTube channel. Again, it's in Russian. We are constantly updating the guide that you're going to find in the description under this video. The guide is in Russian as well. All the links are clickable there, and we update this information basically like daily. So you might find it very helpful. So going back to TPS, right, last week, USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, announced that they designated Ukraine for TPS, which is temporary protected status, and all Ukrainians who were in the United States on March 1st, 2022, potentially fall under this protection. This is temporary protective status that gives opportunity for Ukrainians to apply for work authorization and stay here in the United States lawfully.
Yeah, and you mentioned that date. There's a requirement you be here on that date or before. If you come now with the tourist visa, unfortunately, you can't use it. It's a cutoff date for those who are already in the United States. So what was the date again? March
1st. They announced March 1st. So everyone who was here on March 1st and 2022. And there are certain requirements too that have to be met. Again, if you want to just look on my previous video in Russian, I go into very detailed explanation about what it is and who it applies to. So all the details are there. One important thing that I want to mention, we are recording this video. Today is March 8th, 2022. And as of today, they have not published the what's called Federal Register Notice for Ukraine TPS. So technically, as of today, people cannot still file for TPS, Ukrainians. Yeah. We need to wait for this official notice. Again, it's called Federal Register Notice. Once it's published, it becomes official. So if, again, today I was just looking through the USCIS website and there is no Ukraine there in the list for TPS designated countries. Yeah. So we have to wait. Probably it's going to be published this week. We're waiting on that. And as soon as it's going to be published, we're going to update the information in our guide. So please check it out. Again, information changes like daily and even hourly.
Definitely. Is there anything else going on that we need to mention?
Yeah, there was something else, but again, I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, what some of the things that are happening too is if someone is in removal proceedings, and particularly from Ukraine, there's a good chance that they won't remove them, meaning deport them because of the situation. Maybe even if they're from Russia and stuff. There's been news announcements that they won't send it. We're still trying to find official notice from the government that says this. Like, for example, if you're Russian and you're in deportation proceedings, they may not send you back because of the circumstances in Russia too, and as well as Ukraine. But we'll have to see. I'm guessing Belarus applies too because they're pretty much involved in that war.
Yeah, I read it in the news again, and I was trying to look for official document, but I was not able to find it. So it's from trustful source. But again, I have not seen the official documents, and I'm an attorney. I rely on documents. But if you look online, you will find this information. And they were saying that ICE announced that they will stop deporting people to Russia, to Ukraine, to Belarus. I think Poland, like all this region, all the affected countries now Hungary, Slovakia, like Romania, everything surrounding surrounding Ukraine. So
yeah, so we'll see what the facts actually say. And another thing that popped up, USCIS did announce all sorts of special circumstances for people from Ukraine with regards to filing a case late. They might give an exception, expediting, all these different things. If you go to uscis.gov, there's a list of things where they'll make exceptions and they'll try to accommodate people that are from Ukraine that are affected by the war. So that's something to look into. Thanks, Anya. Thanks for the information. Again, it's Russian information. You can always put in Google Translate if you want stuff. I did the Google Translate myself, and it translated pretty well, actually, from Russian to English. Hopefully, I can help a lot of the viewers and people watching.
Originally, I was translating it from English into Russian. So original document was in English. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's why it fits so well. Okay.
It's just information from all the sources, from like U.S. Embassy in Poland, from U.S. Embassy in Germany, Frankfurt, U.S. Consulate General in Frankfurt, who all the IV migrant visa cases were assigned to, Ukrainian immigrant visa cases. It just compiles all the information, and please check it out. And I already have people email me every day saying, "Oh my God, thank you so much for that," because this is just one source that with all the information and all the links. Again, you can click on the link and check this out in English. Like all links are working.
And share the link. If you're in WhatsApp groups talking about this, share it so you get these updates in there. Now, the government sometimes it says something and it does another, so you can't always rely on what they're telling us, and this information changes all days. But this is the best we can do with the most cutting edge information, putting it in one place.
Right. When I was doing this document, originally I created, I think on like February 26th of 2027, when like 2 days after the war started. And since then, the information was updated like maybe 3 or 4 times just on the website of U.S. Embassy in Warsaw, because they're constantly changing how they're going to process the applications, what they're going to do. Because again, there's so many people that wants to apply now for like immigrant visas, for non-immigrant visas. I'm talking about Ukrainians.
Yeah.
So they're looking for ways how to better, work with that many people. So one more thing that I wanted to mention about like Ukraine crisis is expediting petitions for Ukrainian relatives in the United States. So once you file your petition, your immigration petition, and I'm talking about right now about petitions for children, for spouses, and petitions for parents of U.S. citizens, and children's spouses for of U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents. Because while if you're a lawful permanent resident, you cannot file for your parents. Okay, so this information specifically for this kind of petitions. So we submitted expedite request for a parent of a U.S. citizen. Parent is in Ukraine. The petition was originally we filed the petition in December of 2022, and once the war started, a client instructed us to expedite the petition. So that's what we did. I called USCIS, I think it was last week on Tuesday, 8 a.m. and we got the reply from USCIS Friday night, like it was 11:30 p.m. saying that our expedite request got approved. And initially I thought that it's going to take them like 30 or 45 days to approve the actual petition, but today I got notified that they approved the actual petition.
Nice.
So within one week after we did the expedite request, the actual petition got approved. And again, this is for Ukrainian parent of U.S. citizen. So if you find yourself in this situation, it's working. Yeah. It's working. If you need help with that, please reach out to us. We have separate video on our YouTube channel about how to expedite your petition with USCIS. And this, like war in Ukraine, is one of the reasons that fall under this exceptional expedite criteria. Yeah. So I just wanted to share this information. I hope it's going to help a lot of people. Right now.
And this is the first thing, because you got this expedited, then you got to expedite the National Visa Center too. U.S. Embassy in Frankfurt's handling the cases out, at least right now. We try to get the family member out of Ukraine all the way to Germany. It's not over, but at least this first step that usually takes 10 months or so is done in about 2 months, 2.5 months. So that's a wonderful ability to be able to provide that people. And as you said, we have videos breaking down exactly how to do that on your own. There's all this information we provide for free. But if you did want to have our office help you, I just schedule a consultation by emailing us at info@jqqlaw.com. Well, thanks so much. Again, the link is in the description below. Now, the next topic and the big topic we want to talk about today, that's something that's, always an issue. The topic is a top 5 F-1, student visa work issues when you're doing OPT, CPT, optional practical training, curricular practical training. There are top 5 mistakes we see students do that become very problematic in their ability to be able to work in the United States, and in particular, getting on-the-job work experience, which is part of the student visa program in the U.S. For most programs for F-1, once you, even during school, but especially after you graduate, you get at the very least 1 year of on-the-job training. And that's a big deal because that can lead to an employer filing a green card for you. During that time, you might fall in love, get married, and get a green card. It might create all other work opportunities, and you might just go home, but you get 1 year of experience working at a top U.S. company. That opens up a lot of doors for you, windows and doors for you. Jump in the window, through the window instead of going through the door, and get some good accomplishments back home. So, Anya, we're going to talk about that. The first thing I want to talk about is while you are in school, there are programs that allow you to work while you're in class. So let's say you're in your second year of college, for example, you're a foreign student F-1. There is a thing called curricular practical training. If what you're studying it requires some on-the-job experience, the school can't permit it and allow it for you to work while you're going to school at the same time. That's called CPT. But what's very important is you have to get permission from the school. The school issues CPT for a certain period of time, let's say 4 months or 5 months from June 1st of 4 months later, and so it allows you to work. But it's important that you get permission from the school, make sure the I-20 is updated to show that I-20 is a form that really breaks down what your school curriculum and program is. And you don't work past the time they have there. If you need to work more, you ask the school, and they'll extend your CPT time, but don't do it on your own. And always update the school as to what you're doing. If you want to change jobs, anything you want to do, you update CVIS in the system and tell the school as well. It's just very important. We've seen people who do CPT, or even they do internships. They're in law school, for example, and they do an internship for 1 or 2 months. You have to get the school's permission, notify them so they could update the system for that. I've had times where students told the school and the school said, no big deal, go ahead and do it. And they didn't update the system because they didn't understand the F-1 student visa. That happens a lot, unfortunately, where the schools don't do what they're supposed to do as well. So you got to do it because at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. So update the school and update the government through CVIS, everything that you're doing. You want to go buy the books so you don't get hit with an immigration violation charge later on. What about number 2, Anya? Could you help us with that?
Yeah, so one important thing that you have to be always mindful of is the Form I-20 and updating the Form I-20 when you apply for OPT. And your Form I-20, it has to be issued not within the 30 days of you filing for OPT employment authorization document. And this is very important.
Yeah, so Form I-765, which is what you submit when you want to get optional practical training, OPT once graduating, or you can file it before graduating. But the I-20 that updates that you want to get OPT has to be issued within 30 days of the submission. Now the submission is done online, but one big problem we had before was people get the I-20, they would mail it to the government. It would take, they would send them a slow mail, for example. Also, it took 2 or 3 weeks. And by the time, anyways, it got to the government's hands, it'll be 31, 32, 35 days after the Form I-20 was issued. And that's an automatic rejection denial of that work permit case. And it really messes things up. And so what happens is when they do reject or deny it, that you get notification, you get the case sent back to you. But sometimes it might take 1, 2, 3 months till you even know that your case has been rejected. So this leads us to number 3 about filing the case as soon as possible. Ani, what's the soonest you can file? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to the previous point that you were just mentioning. Usually we as immigration attorneys, we don't like a USCIS online filing because it has a lot of issues with that. They're still working on that, but specifically for this kind of cases, it's if you're filing for yourself, for example, without an immigration attorney, all right, probably it would be better to do it online because you get instant receipt notice. And again, once they receive your filing, you have instant notice, all right, that they charge your card. So it's probably in this specific case would be better to proceed with the online filing specifically.
Yeah, but at the same time, just do it as soon as possible. So what's the earliest someone can file for OPT?
So filing window for OPT is 90 days before you graduate, okay, and until 60 days after. Yeah. So you have to file within that time. And the soonest, the better. Yeah, but in case something happens, right, your submission gets rejected. For example, again, if you file by paper, was John, what you John was just talking about, when your submission gets back to you after like 3 months, you know. So the sooner you file, the sooner you will get the receipt notice or the result, or if there was something missing, for example, in your submission, and you'll have a chance to refile.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to miss that opportunity 6 days past. We've seen it too, where people make mistakes. I had one case where a guy signed the paper version of it with a digital signature online, which is not allowed with USCIS. And then by the time they returned the case to him to tell him, hey, it was an error, you have to resubmit, it was past 6 days after graduating, and he completely lost out on the opportunity to be able to study here. He had to leave immediately because at that point, he was accumulating unlawful presence days. So it was a terrible situation. But, speaking of violations, when you are on OPT, you're only allowed 90 days of unemployment time. So you have to make sure to count each day. You don't have gaps of employment during that more than 90 days. And if you are able to get STEM OPT, which is the extension for people that study in majors in science, technology, engineering, and math, they get additional time for STEM OPT. You can't have a total of 150 days of unemployment. And so that kind of leads us next thing, because you might be unemployed and find a new job. Well, you got to tell the school. So Anya, what's the most important thing, because this happens for so many people? What's the number 5 point?
Yeah, so a lot of people forget that they have to notify their school if they're changing the employer, and they have to go online in the system, what it's called, like CVP or something like that, to update the record, notify the school. And also people, if you move, for example, if you change the address, again, you have to notify your school, change the address in the system. And you also have to file AR11, which is change of address form, with USCIS. You can file it online now. You don't have to deal with the mail. And again, your record will be updated within 10 days, but it's very important to do so for students. And a lot of students, they forget.
Yeah, and it's simple enough. You just type in form A as in Adam, R as in Robert, -11. It'll take you to an online website for USCIS.gov. You put the previous address, a new address, and whatever mailing address you want to use, your name, and it goes in the system. It's that quickly. It is a legal requirement that every person that's not a citizen has to always update their address in the system. Most people don't do it. There's criminal penalties even for it and fines, but they don't really enforce it. But it's not really about enforcement. You want to make sure the government knows where you are in case they send you a notice. It gets your proper address. You don't want to miss a notice. So it's very important that you always update your address.
Yeah, and it's not just, it's like a criminal offense. I think it's deportable offense from what I remember. But again, as John mentioned, they don't. I have never heard that they deported someone over that. But again, if they want to, during like Trump administration, maybe it could have been the case, right?
Yeah.
But you still want to make sure that you always follow the law.
Yeah, you want to follow the line and get these notices. That's what they need it for. Know where you are, so they can send you letters if they need to. And we said that there's 5
days.
Yeah. And we said there's top 5 mistakes. I was going to throw in a bonus out there. This is for people who are getting the STEM OPT, the extension of their OPT, so they can work. There is a requirement, not when you're doing regular OPT. You can work for anybody. You could even be self-employed on OPT. But once you do STEM OPT, you have to have an employer, and the employer has to participate in the E-Verify program with the federal government. And E-Verify is that they connect their computer system for hiring with the government to check if people are authorized to work or not. A lot of employers, most employers, are not part of E-Verify. So if you're working for somebody in your STEM major, and you finish up the 1 year and you want to get the STEM extension, ask the employer beforehand, are you part of E-Verify? Do you work with E-Verify? Because if they don't, you want to know as soon as possible so you can find an employer that does, and you don't miss out on the STEM opportunity. If they do E-Verify, well, it's easy. You just continue working with the same people. So check with the school so you don't miss out on the massive, wonderful opportunity of doing STEM OPT. Another couple of years here, more chances of filing H-1B, more chances of getting a green card based on work, or all these other opportunities of being in the United States. You don't want to miss out on that just because of not knowing that the employer is E-Verify and finding out too late. Wonderful. So if you haven't already, just like and subscribe wherever you're watching this. There's a lot more information just like this, myself and Anya share, really on all social media, but YouTube in particular is a great place to do it. You can always search us, JQK Law Firm. If you did want to schedule a time to speak with us, please send an email to info@jqqlaw.com and briefly describe the immigration issue that you have. so we can know what kind of case it is, if it's something we handle or something, give some quick recommendation, maybe able to answer your question quickly like that, or an official full consultation probably will be needed. Anya, thank you so much for coming on the show again. Please keep us updated on what's going on with the crisis in Eastern Europe, and keep updating that Google document.
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Okay, don't stop recording because I want to add something for the Ukraine expedite update that I just got today.
Okay, so we cut this out and then put it in
we're
the
going to cut this out and we're going to put it together in the middle with the Ukraine stuff. So,
okay. Wait, should we especially for Dan, I guess we probably edit this, but let's see what it is and we'll just try to fit it in there somehow. I guess cool.
Yeah, we're gonna fit it in. I'll probably be able to do it. So,
okay. Thank you for watching this educational program. To get the latest videos, click the subscribe button and the notification bell icon. Also, help us help the immigrant community by liking this video and sharing it with your family and friends. You can also find us on other social media sites like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Twitter, where you find the latest updates on immigration news, policy changes, and tips. Be safe and God bless. See you soon.